picture the scene. You've just met somebody who can talk to and understand animals. That's me, by the way, just in case you hadn't realized. You've been told that you can ask up to 15 questions. You freeze like a rabbit in the headlights. What questions do you ask? What do you even ask an animal? Had you even thought about it? Had you made a list? Do you have a list waiting just in case you meet an animal communicator one day? Probably not. So what do you ask? You know, I've met some people who arrive with like loads of questions already made out, and I have other people who I have to sit with and go through and create some questions together. I don't mind either way, but I'm just saying everybody's different. So I thought today I've got a little list of some interesting questions that people have asked beyond the kind of the normal things that you would expect. So, why did you choose this specific time or your specific time to transition? It's an interesting one, that one, when you think about it, because the animal's now going to tell you why they chose that specific time. Is there anything you particularly like or dislike or want to share with us? Okay, that's a nice one, because then you know what your animal likes, what they don't like. Do you feel cared for? Is there anything we can do better? What can you tell us about your past life before we brought you home? So this is useful for rescue animals, because sometimes rescue animals exhibit a certain behavior, and it's useful to know what kind of life they had with either with previous people or at a shelter or at a, you know, whatever circumstances before they came to you. How do you like to give and receive love? This is fabulous, because everybody just assumes that all animals are the same. So here I have a dog, and all dogs like to be stroked, right? Maybe that dog doesn't like to be stroked. Maybe that dog likes to be tickled under his chin, or maybe he likes his ears pulled gently, or maybe he likes his bum scratched. Maybe he doesn't like being stroked. So don't just assume that all animals like the same thing. What is something you want us to know that we don't? A dog once told me that he'd buried somebody's slippers in the garden. Are there any toys or treats you want that we don't have? Now this is a bit tricky, because this assumes that the animal has had experience of that toy or treat already. An animal just doesn't have this massive library of all available treats and toys in the world. So this will kind of depend on what experience it's had. If it's had that toy in the past and it can draw on that memory, then fine. What can we do to make your life better, make you feel more loved? Is there anything you need or want us to do differently for you? This is great, because it's kind of like a meeting the animal halfway, isn't it? It's like, you know, we're doing this, but if we have to tweak it a little bit so that you're more comfortable, less frightened, whatever, you know, it's a great one. Can you see things I can't? Why are you so scared of people touching you? So that is a common thing. You know, quite a few animals just simply don't like being touched. And it's another common misconception. People just think animals like being touched. They like being stroked. But that's not always the case. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the animal. It's a bit like people, I guess. Not everybody is affectionate. Not everybody likes to be hugged. Not everybody likes to be touched. So everybody's unique. What made you feel most comfortable at the end? I'm going to add an additional one onto that, is asking if an animal was ready to transition. If you haven't got me to talk to your animal before they pass, and you come to me and your animal has already, or you have already helped your animal along on their journey of transitioning, you might want to ask if they were ready and how they felt about that transition. So that's another question you can ask. So those are some examples. Which one was your favorite? What do you think you would ask your animal if you were given the chance? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time. Bye.